Okay, yeah, I want to talk about the Dyna upgrade here that we're doing on this Dyna S. For the Dyna, I'm doing an inverted front end on this particular one. We also offer cartridge kits from Ohlins that go on the stock Dyna front ends on the Nix 22s. This front end happens to be an FGR 324 inverted front end with our triple trees. Of course, we're going to be putting our brake anchors on and the big 320mm rotors. This bike actually has ABS. The normal Dyna has the gauges, tack, and speedo up here on the dash. We've removed that and we've made our own billet base plate here that looks really cool in the place of where the gauges would normally go. We're going to actually put the gauges up onto the handlebars like we do back here on this titanium, like we do on the titanium. So that's going to be something really cool and really slick. We've got our front engine mount on this bike. This is part of the stabilization and upgrade to the drivetrain. We've also got a rear mount in it, and we're also going ahead and we're going to be putting on these piggyback reservoir shocks from Ohlins. All of this will make a huge difference in the performance of the bike as far as braking, handling, stability, and cornering, high-speed cornering. This bike will be stable at 150 miles an hour. So that's what we're accomplishing. It's just the most you could do for your bike besides upgrading your engine. I mean, there's no point in upgrading your engine if you can't go over the stock bike can run 120 miles an hour now, and the bike's unstable at that. So what's the point of upgrading your engine without upgrading your suspension to give your bike stability? It's very, very important, because a lot of guys, because it's not something you can look at and go, ooh, as far as suspension, they'll upgrade their motor because they think they just want to go fast, or they'll put chrome stuff on. The best thing they could do themselves, for their motorcycle and for themselves and their own safety, is to put on upgraded high-performance suspension. That is going to be the safest thing you could do for yourselves, because in the ambulance on the way to the hospital, damn, I wish I did that suspension. All right, so it's a lot. It's really good shit to do your suspension. Talking about suspension and safety and upgrades and things for your motorcycle, majority of Harley V twins are very unstable suspension over 80 miles an hour, very unstable. Can actually have caused a lot of accidents when guys are trying to run over 80 miles an hour. And the way I look at it is, look, I would be putting suspension on my bagger, my Road Glide. If it wasn't an inverted front end like this one here, I would definitely be doing the Ohlins cartridges, the Nix 22s, which we make these triple trees fit the stock 49mm front end. It enables you to, we change the geometry back to where it should be to make the bike reactive. And we also put in the Nix 22 cartridges in the stock front end. There's a couple of things that benefit from this. Your braking distances decrease by a third because of the compliancy of the tire to the road surface. The traction is incredible. These bikes do run ABS. This is a 2016 Road Glide, and of course right here is a 2016 Dyna S. And the braking and the handling is just, the increase in performance is so good that it's just, it'd be the first thing I ever did to my motorcycle. Screw cams, screw more horsepower, screw pipes, screw any of that crap. Suspension first, safety first. Believe you me, it'll make a huge difference in your riding ability, as well as being able to keep up with whatever you're trying to do. You'll actually, you won't be able to ride with the guys that have stock suspension because their bikes will be so unstable. They're all trying to hold it together in those corners. For the Road Glide, we've also done mid controls here. We've done a performance exhaust system. The mid controls are amazing. We have a speedo tack relocation that goes up top here. It enables you to run T-bars like this on a Road Glide with the fiberglass pieces that we are now doing. We also have the lowers right here that we've actually made fit the stock Road Glide fairing, that bolt right on here onto the fairing. Just a bolt-on item along with our stock speedo and tack relocation kit. Such an important upgrade to your motorcycle to control the suspension. The truth of the matter is, what we're mainly trying to do is just control the movement. We're trying to control the movement coming up and control the movement coming down of the wheel. The reason for that is when you ride your motorcycle and you basically have a stock Harley Davidson suspension, there is no control in the movement of the suspension. Very little. So what happens as you ride along, the wheels, front and rear, are taking hits from the road surface because it's bumpy. The bumpier it gets, the more unstable your Harley Davidson will get. As all of us riders know, when you go into a sweeping corner, it gets really crazy because the sweeping bends are usually rougher in the road surface. And so when the wheels are getting hit by the road surface, the springs build energy, and then the springs unload their energy, and of course the movement is so fast that it starts to push the frame around. So then the frame is now moving. And when you start to move the frame, that's when you get the instability. That's what happens. So all we're really doing, we're controlling the speed on which the wheels move up, controlling the speed in which the wheels move down. That's where the instability comes from. Once we slow those down, then it will actually stabilize the frame and stop the frame from moving around. Bike becomes stable. Hallelujah. What a concept, huh? All right. To the ultimate in motorcycle riding in V-twins, this is pretty much it right here. This is our titanium, which is based off the FXR frame. And one of the reasons that this particular bike is so good is because of the frame design along with the wheelbase. The wheelbase is pretty dang short. And with that short wheelbase becomes the ability to roll the bike from left to right. The shorter the wheelbase, the more responsive a motorcycle will be. So we've got a very responsive motorcycle already, and then we add really high-class, world-class suspension from Ohlins on it, and we add world-class brakes. Now we have a motorcycle that can actually really handle, and then we've got a nice horsepower to complement that with a 6-speed overdrive motor. This bike can cruise at 140 miles an hour, which, hey, our goal is not to have everybody going out there and riding at 140 miles an hour, but it's the point of if you actually want to do that or need to do that for whatever reason, you can do it without dying, feeling like you're going to die. So that's the whole point of it. And with the suspension and the brakes coupled, this is a much, much, much safer motorcycle to ride than a stock Harley Davidson because of the compliancy that our suspension is keeping that tire stuck to the road, which means, what does that equal to? More traction. Systems, just for a little minute. This is a stock 103 S&S 2016 Road Glide. I've added the suspension. I've changed the geometry in the front end because Harley, of course, had 7 inches of trail, which is retarded, completely retarded. You only need 4 inches to 4.7, which I made at 4.7, which is the same as a Dyna, a stock Dyna S. And so we've done the handling of the motorcycle. Now we need to look at the engine and what we've done here. Okay, this is a stock 103. I've ran this stock 103 with a set of MR 103 cams, which are from S&S, and a tuner kit and our pipe. And I've run this bike. I can sustain 140 miles an hour on this bike if I want to. That's a stock engine, just with some cams and a tuner kit and a pipe. So let's talk about the pipe for a minute. Why did I make this pipe this way? Okay, we've got a stepped header system. What does that mean? What that means is the pipe starts out at 1 3/4, steps up, right, to 1 7/8. And then once it steps up to 1 7/8, why do we step it up? The reason is right here in the first 8 inches of the header pipe, if you just leave it 1 3/4, we're going to get reversion. By stepping it up to a larger diameter, it creates a vacuum right here in this part of the pipe. Why do we want to do that? Because on the valve overlap, we don't get reversion, meaning that the exhaust is getting sucked back into the combustion chamber when both valves are open at the same time for that split second. So we don't contaminate the fresh charge of atomized fuel and air in the engine as it's running. So now that we've created the vacuum here, we've got to go 2 pipes into one, and we're going down to a merge collector here. It's so important that the collector is made like this, where it's actually 2 pipes that have been cut and purge welded together. Purge welding means that there's argon filled in the pipe, so that when you weld it, there's no oxygen inside the pipe or on the outside through the gas shield. And the reason we don't want that in there, so it doesn't contaminate the weld and give you a crappy weld, basically, and oxidization. So then once we've made this true merge collector, it makes it very smooth for the 2 exhausts out of each pipe to converge and go into a much larger diameter through this muffler. When you do that, this merge collector can be the difference between 10 and 15 horsepower in your mid-range. It's huge. It's extremely important, along with the stepped header pipes. These are the things that make this pipe perform.